First, we had Christopher from Ayrshire recommending Greg Taylor swap Celtic for Rangers, and now we have Michael Stewart from Fudland also backing the former Rangers striker. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Football. It's not often you agree with Michael Stewart, but this might just be one of those days. I guess a broken clock is right twice a day, and this is one of Michael Stewart's few times that he could be right, because he reckons that Rangers should do everything in their power to try and convince Greg Taylor to cross the Old Firm divide when his contract at Celtic runs out at the end of the season. Now, some people are saying that Greg Taylor is a Rangers fan. I did not know this. I assumed that Greg Taylor was a Celtic fan. But no, people are saying that he is a die-hard Rangers fan. He's been a Rangers fan since he was a little kid. So therefore, I think that means that these rumours could have even more truth to them. And I think the possibility of Greg Taylor moving from Celtic to Rangers could now be even stronger. Although it would be the first time, I believe, in almost 120 years since it's been done, a direct move from Celtic to Rangers. You don't see it happen often. In fact, you really never see it. It's very rare that you actually see a player that plays for both clubs, never mind somebody that moves from one to the other. I'm not sure how many times it's been done in the total in the history of both clubs, but I would have to assume we're talking really small numbers here, probably single digits at least. So yeah, Taylor will bring an end to his 6-year stay with the Hoops at the end of the summer. It's pretty much been confirmed now that he will not be staying at the club. Brendan Rodgers wanted him to stay. I've seen some Celtic fans complain, why isn't Greg Taylor staying? And I think it's obvious, because we've seen this season, Schloop's came in and he's been getting more game time than Greg Taylor. It is agreed that Kieran Tierney is coming back in the summer, and Kieran Tierney will be the number one left back. That is for sure. Okay, Greg Taylor will be playing back up to Kieran Tierney. I get it. Kieran Tierney is injury prone. Kieran Tierney will not play every single game, but I just don't think Greg Taylor wants to be sitting on the bench. Greg Taylor knows that when it comes to the big games, when it comes to the Champions League matches, when it comes to cup finals, when it comes to Old Firm games against Rangers, if Kieran Tierney is fit, he will be the one playing at left back. Now, yeah, Greg Taylor might get more games than your average number two, because they want to try and rotate Kieran Tierney. Maybe they'll try and keep Kieran Tierney fit, try and keep him fresh. But that's not what Greg Taylor wants to do. He doesn't want to stay at Celtic to hope that he can get matches against Ross County and St Johnstone and games like that. No, he'll want to be a starting player, and it doesn't look like for him that he would be a starting player at Celtic. Like I said, unless of course Kieran Tierney is injured. But who wants to stay at a club in the hope that your rival, the guy that is in the same position in front of you, is going to get injured? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Now, we know that Dynamo Zagreb was interested in Taylor. Not too sure if he would go there. Would that be a better option for him than Rangers? Not too sure. Now, the last player to leave Celtic for Rangers was Robert Campbell, and that was done 119 years ago. So that was the last player to move directly from rivals Celtic to Rangers. So will Greg Taylor be the first person to do it in 119 years? I don't know, but this is what Michael Stewart had to say. He said, quote, "I actually floated this idea 2 or 3 weeks ago. From a Rangers perspective, yeah, I would. I don't know what Greg Taylor will be thinking, but from Rangers' perspective, it's a free transfer, and he is in the Scotland squad, so it's another Scottish player, which is a huge asset. I don't know whether Greg Taylor would be interested, but he's a quality player. But for me, he's better than Yefte, and he's better than Ridvan Yilmaz, so I would do it." End of quote. And you know what? I agree with Michael Stewart. I think that Greg Taylor is a good player. He's Scottish. It will help Rangers when it comes to Europe. He will fill one of those Scottish positions, and he probably is. I mean, well, not probably. I'd say that he's proven over his career that he is more consistent and that he is a better player than both Yilmaz and Yefte. So I think he could come in, and certainly, I think if he was at Rangers right now, he would be the starting left back. So for me, I don't see why that would change. I don't think that Yilmaz or Yefte is going to get 10 times better between now and next season. We heard rumours that Yefte was going to be going to Chelsea and that they were interested in him, £20 million. I don't know where that shit came from, but he doesn't look like a £20 million player. If he's worth £20 million, then Greg Taylor must be worth 40. So, yeah, I think Greg Taylor would be a good move for Rangers, and it would be a good move for Greg as well, because he'd be staying in the Scottish Premiership. Yes, he would be trading the best team for the second best team, but if anything, it means he's still going to be getting first team football, and it maybe would help him. I don't know, in his Scotland career, if he stays in Scotland and if he plays for Rangers, maybe that would help him break into the team. I think that his Scotland career would suffer if he's playing second fiddle to Kieran Tierney. I think he's got a much better chance of remaining in the Scotland squad if he's the number one at Rangers. It's highly unlikely if he stays at Celtic and he's the number two left back, would he even get picked for Scotland anymore? That we don't know, but this does come just about a week after Chris Boyd was also suggesting the move for Greg Taylor. He said to the Scottish Sun's YouTube channel, quote, "It wouldn't be the worst one for me, for my club to have a little conversation with him. Could he switch sides in Glasgow? I know the rivalry between the two clubs, but he's Scottish and he ticks the boxes. You could ask the question. Greg has shown for a period of time now how consistent he has been. If he's not going to be at Celtic, he wants to play regularly." End of quote. And I think he would play regularly at Rangers, and I think he would be a good signing for Rangers, and I think it would be, obviously, it's a free transfer, so it's not costing Rangers any money up front. Wages-wise, it would cost a decent amount, but nothing spectacular, and it would also free Rangers up to sell, probably, Yefte, and maybe they could make a couple of £1 million back from him, assuming that they keep Yilmaz, but I'm not too sure what is happening there with those two. I don't think any of those two really have long-term futures at Rangers, and if Greg Taylor comes in, I do think he would be the number one left back going forward. But listen, Greg Taylor, he was good at Kilmarnock, and that earned him the move to Celtic, and he's been very good at Celtic. He's been successful at Celtic. He's won a lot of trophies at Celtic, and sometimes he's been the fall guy. Sometimes when Celtic have lost big European games, or when they've lost an old firm or whatever, people will look at Greg Taylor, people will blame Greg Taylor. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's fair, but he has been considered one of the weak links over the years. It felt like every single summer in January, Celtic fans were always saying that if they could improve in one position, that left back position would be where they would improve in. But he was there for 6 years and they couldn't find a better left back than Greg Taylor. Every time they brought someone in to be the next left back, to be the replacement for Greg Taylor, no one was good enough. Alex Falley came in on loan and he was supposed to be better, and then the other guy before Greg Taylor, who I completely forget his name, he was that bad. He was absolutely shite. His Celtic career didn't last long, so they've tried to replace Greg Taylor and they haven't done it. But we know that they're getting Kieran Tierney, and we know how quality he is, and he will definitely be starting above Greg Taylor. So listen, I think it's a good move for Celtic bringing in Tierney, but I think it would be equally a good move for Rangers if they can bring in Greg Taylor for free, and that's what they would get him for at the end of this season, since his contract is running down. So look, I agree with Michael Stewart. It's not often you agree with him. I think he's an arsehole. I don't like the guy, but I think he's spot on here. I think it would be a good move for... The only person it wouldn't be a good move for would be Celtic, because they would be letting go a good left back and he would be going to their nearest rivals, their direct fierce rivals, Rangers. So this would weaken Celtic from a standpoint where they'd be losing their second best left back, a left back that they could perhaps do with because how injury prone Kieran Tierney is. But for Greg Taylor, it's a good move, and for Rangers, it's a good move. So yeah, I think that Rangers should try and get him, and I think that if Greg Taylor's a Rangers fan, then why wouldn't he want to go? You could argue it's difficult to move directly from Celtic to Rangers, but yeah, he will have loyalty to the club, of course. But if he really does support Rangers, then I don't see why that would stop him from going. I mean, he wanted to stay at Celtic, but Celtic decided to obviously go out and sign Tierney, and I think that Greg Taylor knows that he can't really fight for his position against Tierney because he knows that Tierney's better. So he's kind of been forced out the club, and I believe he just had a kid as well, so probably doesn't want to move country, I would imagine. So I think it makes good sense. I think he should move to Rangers, and I mean, Kieran Tierney's going to Celtic. He gets to return to his boyhood club. Greg Taylor gets to go to his supposed boyhood club, and Rangers get a good left back. So to me, it makes sense. Anyway, guys, let us know what you think down below. Is Greg Taylor, is he good enough to be the Rangers left back? I think he is. He was good enough for Celtic for 6 years, so I don't see why he wouldn't be good enough for Rangers. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Will Rangers want to bring him in though, and will they be willing to pay the amount of money that Celtic currently pay him? That we don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe it could be a financial reason that maybe stops this move from happening. Anyway, guys, that's it. Fog Football. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. More content coming later today. And until next time, peace.